Hey,
How you doing?
how are you this evening?
Good. Long time coming, Danny. Long time coming.
Long time, long
Yeah.
time. Well, first and foremost, I want to say hello. Welcome to my little small corner of the internet. I am grateful that you decided to come over here with my coat. And every time I say coat, I think it's funny because I think about book two, but we'll get there. Um, but I call my supporters, my followers, my cult members because they support me. Hopefully, you can see the comments. We have a special sticker to welcome you in with your face. So that's them showing you love.
Okay.
So before we get into it, I just want to say to everybody that's watching, you know him as an iconic actor, a director, and an author. You don't know he's an iconic author just yet, but that's why I'm here to put y'all on. As an author, he explores crime, justice, and psychological weight of truth. His novels don't just tell a story, they're interrogated. And I am so excited to have you on my platform today. So welcome in.
Great to be here. Great to be here. Thanks.
You are welcome. So, I really want to just dive right in. I know a lot of people know you from obviously being an incredible actor, and I want to touch on it, but then we're going to focus on the books if that's okay with you.
That's fine by me.
Okay, so first of all, I don't think a lot of people know that you are very well trained. You trained at Juilliard and the NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. You worked in theater, television, and film before you ever wrote a book. How did the formal training and those early stage experiences shape your voice as a storyteller?
Well, I think if you are fortunate, I was fortunate enough to get what's considered a classical training. And the cool thing about that was, we studied all type of playwrights, and not only did we study them, I mean, we broke them down, and Shakespeare, Ibsen, Chekhov. So it was a wonderful opportunity to start understanding language, understanding the power of language, understanding subtext, understanding character. So I think whenever you get a good training, it's going to service you. It's just going to service you. It's going to always be there, and you might not always put your finger on it, but you learn it from a disciplinary point of view. You become um, very passionate about the discipline of the art. So now I think once I started becoming a storyteller,
Hmm.
I'm still looking for the same thing. I'm looking for the things that Shakespeare did very well. The thing that all these great playwrights did is really having complexities to character and really having layers and depths. And so when you take that and put that in a contemporary situation, it's still the same. The goal should still be the same, and whether it's contemporary or classical, whatever it is. It's to have like some really really cool characters. So that's always I was fortunate enough, and that always became a part of my approach to the work. And so then, of course, when I started writing,
Right.
you double down on it, and you want you have these fantasies that somebody will be breaking your stuff down the way that we were breaking down these classic authors
Ah,
and
right,
playwrights, etc.
right.
Because and withstanding the scrutiny. That's the thing. Because obviously when you're in that training, you start breaking things down, and you start realizing, wow, this person was really talented because they thought about this, they thought about that, and it might not be blatant. So you want your work, if someone were to really break it down, and they're like, well, this character did this, and blah blah blah, that it holds up. So I think that's the aspiration.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I slid in your DMs back in 2024, and who knew where we would be right now? So I know you actually wrote this or started writing these books a while ago, right? Like over 10 years or so.
14 years
Um,
ago. Yeah.
what can you tell us about that process? And then we'll dive into the first three books to touch on them before we get to book four. But you started writing this 10 years ago, and you were getting denied back to
Right.
back. I
Right.
did some research. So, what can you tell us about that process and what kept you going? Because this is an incredible series.
Well,
This is an incredible series. And I feel like we, for people that don't know your story as an author, what can you tell us?
Well, it was 14 years ago.
A 14.
Yeah, 13 and a half, 14 years ago. And it was, yeah, because it was 2012. And so, I think this. I think people that follow you. Some are aspiring authors, some are actually authors, some are doing things, and the thing you realize is that everybody has it hard. Like I don't, my challenges may be different from someone else's, but I think there was like this assumption that people made. Oh, he's in the business, he's in the industry, so it's going to be easy. But no, it was in a weird way. And again, I don't boo-hoo. I'm like, it's just a part of my grind. But I think it was just one of those things where they go, you have these preconceptions about. So I think that worked against me in certain ways because people start going, "Oh, you can't be an actor, director, and producer and be an author." But see, you have to also understand when I started making the transition from actor to director, I also had some doubt. I also, or some naysayers. I also had some haters, right?
Right.
That was an easier and quicker path to switch. This author thing, I think, because they're so different, and being an author has the prestige. It's one of the most prestigious things I think in our society, because we always think I said this to myself, who am I to write a book? Am I smart enough to write a book? Am I, and so I think there's this, but that puts you in this level of prestige because we do think of authors as being these really wise, intelligent people. And so I think when people have classified you as one thing, they don't necessarily think you can do all this other things. So yeah, so you have it, but everybody has it. I mean, some people, everybody has it to a different degree. So that was, those were some of my challenges. So I was rejected for, I don't know, first 5 years, 6 years. And then finally, my second book out, I met a sister by the name of Raquel Henderson, who ended up becoming my agent. And we just kept grinding and put the second book out. I self-published it because I, again, had a bunch of rejections. So I put that out. And then she said, I don't want you self-publishing anymore. I want, your books are really, really good and they deserve, a broader release. So, we started grinding and then I wrote the third book and I got a publisher through Raquel. And the cool thing that they did, they were like, look, we're going to go back and re-release the first two books which were published. So that was really cool. And then we'll release the third book, building. So that was a cool way. So, again, you never know how it's going to play out. So that was not the quote unquote traditional way, of course, but that just ended up being my way. That worked for me. Yeah.
Nice. So with that, I'm going to jump back to your actor life and then we'll come back. And I'm asking this because I think it's important because, of course, we all know you from all of the shows, all of the movies, and all of the fantastic things that you've acted in. So my question is, because a lot of us know you from ER and Coming to America, you became a household name as Dr. Peter Bitten on ER, a role that earned you multiple award nominations and wins and resonated with audience for years, decades. How did the intense emotional focus and discipline on that role inform the way that you approach crafting your characters in your novels? So do you think that your acting has a lot to do with your novels, or is that just something you always wanted to do?
Well, I think no matter what you do, it creeps in. And I think when you're an author, you're drawing from everything you have in your wheelhouse because you need it. Think about it as an author, you're creating a universe, you're creating a population of people to inherit that to inhabit that universe. So you use everything, and so yeah, as an actor, I obviously have probably more than most, I have a stronger sense of characterization
Absolutely.
because I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. I've been doing
Absolutely.
characters, you know. So
Right.
so yeah. So when I go and not and then I've got my crazy process where sometimes I'm writing and I'm kind of acting out the characters in the book. I'm really want to hear their
Hmm.
voice, male,
Hmm.
female, black, white, something very different. So yeah, I get a little carried away and
Absolutely.
and just like when I was a kid and was excited about acting, and you act things out, so that it all helps, and the consistent feedback has always been people really love my characters. I think they feel so real. Well, I think it's because of the acting experience and knowledge of acting, infusing my characters with that knowledge, I think definitely helps and makes them very three-dimensional and challenging and
For
accessible.
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now I want to jump into like the writing journey, ask a couple questions about that, just so everybody can kind of get a sense, because I feel like they can tell how passionate you are and how you persevere. What first inspired you to step into the world of novel writing, particularly in the thriller genre?
Well, when I was a kid, before acting, I was more interested in writing. And I originally thought as a kid I would grow up to be a writer. So there was a little seed. Then, obviously I quickly fell in love with acting and sort of put that on the back burner. Um, my second season of ER, I was approached by some producers to do a movie of the week based on a novel by John Sanford, who's one of the premier thriller writers. He's considered, one of the godfathers.
Mhm.
And so, he had a book called Mind Prey, and he has what's called the Prey series, and he's up to probably 40 books now. Mind Prey,
Right.
Silent Prey, Glitter Play. I mean, everything is Prey. So, but it was very dark, and I did it, and I started it and produced it, and I don't know, just something clicked, and I was like, oh, this is the kind of storytelling I would like to do. And then it was several years later, though, that I decided, oh, I'm going to write, but it just I naturally gravitated to that. I like drama, I like high stakes, I like tension. I get bored easily, so
Yeah.
I like something that keeps you, like, you can't give up on. Like, there's some books, people are like, hey, after you make it past the first 100 pages, it gets interesting. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it through a
Right.
hundred pages if it ain't
Oh my
interesting.
goodness.
So thrillers, think about it. Thrillers, you gotta set the crime up right away.
Hmm.
You gotta introduce the protagonist. You may or
Yes.
may not introduce the antagonist. But anyway, you jump into it right away, and then I think you can write it in such a way that even as you end your chapters, there's that da 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 moment. So it keeps
Yes.
me. So I write for people like me. I have like a short attention span, so I kind of write for people that love like this propulsive, continual thing. So yeah, big influence that, and so I just gravitated after doing that, and then I started reading a lot of John Sanford books,
Hmm.
which I still do,
Hmm.
so it's just been like a great inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to say, because you are on your fourth book, which I do have a banner up here. Hopefully you can see it. I want everybody to be able to see the new book that's coming out. However, I was absolutely captivated by these three books. When I tell you I was captivated, I literally was in his DMs every other day, like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So you nailed it. When I say nailed it, nailed it. I am the type of person where I need something to pop off. If it doesn't pop off, I'm going to put it down. That's my type of thriller. And when I say you did your big one, you did. And I'm so grateful I found these books because they do just that. So I did want to put that out there because they're fantastic.
Thank you.
Um, so how did your experience, and I think you kind of touched on it, but how did your experience as an actor and director prepare you for long form storytelling on the page? Because I imagine it's quite different from acting and or directing.
Yeah, no, it is, and I think that in a weird way, over the years, I've attempted to write screenplays. I've finished a few. Uh, some were good, some were mediocre, some were bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
I for some reason, I feel I'm a better author than I am a screenwriter. And even though I've been around screenwriting longer. Um,
Yeah.
I just because the cool thing about being an author is you get into people's minds. You get to get into their thoughts. You get to explore their thoughts. You get to explore their past. You could do a flashback thing. Not to say that you can't do that in a movie, but you
Yeah.
can do it in such a way that we understand mentally what this person is going through in detail, in beautiful, harsh, ugly detail. And I it helps my storytelling. So I'm really, really I feel very I feel like I'm much stronger in that realm than I have been in screenplays, and
Okay.
so some of which we'll even talk about later, Laws of Solomon,
Yes.
is kind of I saved a screenplay that I wrote years ago, and I
Mhm.
took the concept of it. Same thing, Laws of Depravity. Laws of Depravity was a little slightly different because Laws of Depravity was my very first attempt at writing. Didn't go well. At writing a book didn't go well. It was a love story. It was kind of a thriller, and it was like these two. It was about these two lovers, and they meet at a grave. Because she's in mourning, and he bumps into her. So anyway, they get
Yeah.
to the thing, and so I wrote this whole story, and it didn't go well. Didn't try to, like people would read it. Friends would read it, and they wouldn't say anything. They just
Like, okay.
they just act like it didn't even exist. And I was like, okay, I don't think that one went over too well.
Yeah.
But the cool thing, and this is the thing about authors, because authors will save everything. And
Mhm.
so years later, I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I want that element of it. It won't be the primary story, but part of that will be, and obviously I reshaped it, and that's the love story in Laws of Depravity.
Mm.
If you think about how they meet and well,
Mhm.
that was the premise of the other book that I first attempted, which didn't go well, but that nugget of an idea. And so that's what you do. You hold on sometimes to ideas, and then you find cool places to put them, and then you mature as an artist, as a storyteller. So then sometimes, okay, this feels much more organic. It's better than it was. Yeah.
That is fantastic. It's just crazy. Like you said, you can have an idea 5 years ago and it's like it's not working now, but 5 years later, it's working now. So you really have to have that determination to hold on to it and know it's gonna work. So that's truly inspiring, I will say. Um, because I don't know if I could do it. Like I think about writing a book all the time and I'm just like, I don't know if I could. So it's very inspiring to hear you say that. So I want to go ahead and jump into the Martyr Maker series. You know, it's one of my favorites. So I want to just dive in and kind of share it with everybody. So I do have a couple questions surrounding around that series. Um, how did you come up with that idea? How did the idea for the Martyr Maker series first take shape? Where did it even come from?
Well, I remember I was in my office one day, and I don't know where it came from, but I just read an article about how all of Jesus's disciples were brutally murdered,
Mm,
and that it's not in the Bible, but it's in all. If study the Bible and you study things around the Bible, it's in all the stories. So all of his disciples, and it wasn't just 12. He had what was called the lesser and greater disciples, and so it was probably closer to 30,
wow.
and they were beheaded, torn limb from limb by horses, dragged through the streets, crucified upside down. A lot of them begged to be crucified upside down because they felt they weren't worthy to die the same way Jesus died. So you may be crucifying me, but can you do a variation of it?
Yeah.
Some were beheaded. And ironically, only one, John was only one survived, but he survived after being put into a vat of boiling oil, survived that somehow, and then was banished to the Greek island of Patmos, which is where he wrote the book of Revelations. So I was just like, wow, I didn't know
Right.
that. that's deep, right? And
Right.
I don't know. I was like, you know what? There's a story there somewhere. I don't know what it is, but man. And so then, the more I started thinking about writing, and then I was like, wouldn't it be cool to come up with a modern day serial killer who's killing clergy the same way that Jesus's disciples? So ironically, the bad guy was born before the good guys.
Wow. I was wondering about that. Like, who comes first? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're touching on it. Okay.
So the bad guy, and I was like, whoa. And then I was like, okay, this dude has to be crazy smart, brilliant, ruthless. But then you go, okay, now my heroes have to be slightly smarter and equal, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they got, and then I was like, well, I'm going to go one step further. I want them to be they're a little dark. They
Yeah.
got their own crazy,
Yes.
they got their own stuff that they're struggling with.
Right.
And so, and so that became the premise. And then also, obviously, they're loosely based on, because of all the things I do, I use the influence of what I do. So one of my favorite films is the movie Seven.
I know.
So I took that premise of a salt and pepper team, one African American, one Italian Irish American, and they're the best at what they do, and all they work on high profile serial killings. So it's similar to Seven in the sense that these were the two best, but I wanted them to be more equal in age, and then I just added the third protagonist, which was an FBI agent who's a female, a Jewish female, and so they became my heroes. But the bad guy was, like his stuff just came because once I figured out the way
Yeah.
into the world, that's how I figured out the story. Because when I was like, there's a story, there's a story. Well, I had to go through the bad guy, and then I was like, oh, he could do this, he could do that. And so then you start going, okay, he's going to murder this person this way. He's going to murder that. That was kind of, in a way, that was the easy part because that was already set up. But then finding the dynamics of who the protagonists were. And then I wanted to take it a little deeper, and I didn't want it. It was strategic not to jump out with my first book being centered on the African American character,
Yeah.
because sometimes we get pigeonholed. Oh, you're a black writer and
Right.
you're writing about. So I wanted to show that I could just tell a story. And so we could have a white male protagonist in the first book. And the cool thing about the books is, as you know, all of them get their books.
They do.
All of them get their front. So even though they're prominent in every book, but one of them, it's their story. And so I wanted the first book to be about a cop who was molested by clergy, and now he has to investigate crimes against clergy, and he's torn as to,
Right.
and I wanted that dilemma. I didn't want him to be so squeaky clean because there's a part of him that's just like they got what they deserve because
Right.
his trauma. And then obviously with the next book, Laws of Wrath, when I did focus on the African American, his father, even though he's a great cop, his father's a gangster. His father's the Black Godfather of Harlem.
Right.
And so some stuff that his father did comes back to haunt him. So now, that African American character has to deal with his dilemmas and all the screwed up things that he thinks he did something horrible, and that haunts him.
Right.
And then the third book, Laws of Annihilation, focuses more on our Jewish female FBI agent, because there are these hate crimes against the Jewish community, and so each one gets their primary, and see what that's even based on. When you talk about influence, that's based on repertory theater. So when you're doing rep theater, one night you might be the lead in a play, and then the next night they do a different play. You might have a small role
Okay.
in it. And so that was kind of the concept here, even though all of them are primary characters. But I wanted in one book, this one is, and then in the next book, this one is, and then in the next book, this one is, and so, but that comes from that whole concept of repertory theater, quite honestly. Yeah.
Absolutely. And really quick, everyone, you can see the books up here. I know a lot of you have heard me scream to the top of my lungs about the books and the series, but they are up here so that you guys can see them. And also, just a little brief thing I want to say, shout out to Eriq and his team. They will be giving away a set of these three at the end of the live. And I am very excited because I'm going to match that and I'm going to do it as well. So who's ever number one at the top in those bubbles, Eriq is going to give you a copy of these books. And number two, I'm going to give you a copy. These need to be in everyone's homes and everyone's hands. And I just wanted to say that really quickly. So
Right.
that's what I want to say about that because they need to get into these homes. Okay. So my next question is, was this series always a series? Or did it
No,
start off with just one
no.
book? How did
I,
we get to book 3?
I started off with one book. You know, in my mind, and as all artists fantasize, I, you know, knew it was going to be a big hit and blah blah blah, and my
Right.
career was going to take off, and it was going to be celebrated and all that. And yeah, no, it didn't quite happen that way. So when I got like all these rejections, you know, you know, being an actor, you're so used to rejection. You get, you know, like, you know, most of my life has been about, you know, multiple rejections a day. You know what I mean? So you get used to it. So I developed this sort of, I think this sort of safety zone where I kind of mourn for a day or so, you know, maybe a couple of days, and then I'm like, okay, now what? And so that's my mindset, and so that's my defense mechanism. That's my survival, you know, hack, whatever. And so, you know, obviously, I was super disappointed that so then I thought about it. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna write another book, and that's gonna be it. That's gonna, you know.
Yeah.
So pretty much the same thing happened, and more rejections, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna write a third book, and so it just kind of was one of those. And then obviously the third book was the one that, you know, got me published, and so it, you know, it got this. So it doesn't always play out the way we think it's going to play out or the way we feel it should play out. But you just got to be tenacious. If it's your dream, you just got to keep clawing at it. And listen, you know, truth be told, I mean, this is why you can never boohoo too much, because no matter what's going on, there's somebody that's gone through worse on this journey. There are people out there that might have 10 books and they still haven't, you know, and good, it could be good. They could be good, you know what I mean? And so I think that that's why I don't sit around, oh, woe is me. And, you know, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, definitely I was disappointed. It hurt. Because, you know, you pour a lot into this stuff. And so, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'm not as good as I thought.
Right.
But then, you know, ironically, even early on, you know, people like yourself, sometimes that becomes your validation. That becomes like people just going, look, I'm just a diehard fan. And,
Yeah.
you know, I had one friend that said, look, I read a lot and I think Laws of Depravity is as good as anything I've read out there. And that thing gives you hope that maybe it's not just you know what I mean? Because look, we all think our babies are cute. You know what I
Right.
mean? And sometimes somebody has to come along and go like, no, that baby's got a big head, that baby's ugly, right? You know, so you're like, I hope my baby ain't ugly.
Right.
You know?
I thought it was cute.
But you get insecure. Now you've been rejected, you know, 50 times here, then you get rejected another 30 times here, and you start, you know, at some point, if you're not careful, and then somebody comes along and they're like, oh my God, that is a beautiful baby. And you're like,
Right.
oh, great. And then somebody else comes in and they're like, oh my God. Yeah. And so sometimes that's the confidence that little bit of assistance is what you need to keep going. And that's what happened. And then finally it clicked in. And look, I still have a long way to go to get to where I want to go and and just like you said, there are people that still tell me like more people need to know about these damn books. So the
Absolutely.
work is still it's constantly ongoing. But I'm farther ahead than I was
Absolutely.
12 years ago, 13 years ago. I'm farther ahead than I was. And now this fourth book, which is tracking to be the biggest book, and it'll be my first hardcover, and the publisher is really, really behind it and really, really pushing it and being aggressive. So that all feels good. And so each time out, I just feel like I'm growing and growing. And like right now, I just feel like I'm there. I've jumped a couple of steps ahead with how
Absolutely.
they're planning to do this, and already, even though it doesn't come out till September, we are grinding right now.
Right.
And my publisher is grinding, and my team is grinding. So there's like this energy, and people, thanks to people like you, the word is getting out even more. So that's look, that's the blessing. That's really, I'm thankful. You know what I mean? And like I said, you want it to happen faster, bigger, and all of that. Of course, that's human nature.
Right.
But I'm blessed, and I appreciate the blessing. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the talent, the drive, the discipline, the fact that I didn't give up, that people like you see merit in it. And you start getting great feedback, and pick up some awards or whatever validates you.
Right.
It feels good. Yeah.
And to just touch on that for a bit, I just want to say, when I discovered this series, I had no idea what I was getting into. I just knew, he was on Coming to America, Soul Glow, But once I got into the books, I forgot about all that. That was, this is the bread and butter for me. I'm a thriller girl, and I like that you said that I am screaming at the rooftop for these books because you don't see a lot. Well, there are black thriller girls, but a lot of time on TikTok and on social media, you have a lot of black girls that are reading romance and fantasy. And again, I own it. I love it, but I'm a diehard thriller girl. I look for the books that are going to make my skin crawl. I say this all the time on my lives. Like, I need another body. Like, where's the blood? Like, let me get my gun. Let me help solve this case. You know what I mean?
Right.
And these books do that. And I don't know. I just have to share them, because they are books that need to be in everyone's home. I just feel like everyone should read book one, because once you do, you're going to want to read the rest. And that's just how I feel about them.
Yeah.
Um, and again, thank you for being here. I do have a couple more questions. How much research went into building the world and the crimes within the Martyr Maker universe? Are they things that you saw in everyday life? Because the world is crazy. Or are they things that you felt like you had to kind of imagine because it is fiction?
Well, the crimes, everyone is different. I mean, laws of depravity, like I said, the style of murder is biblical. That's been around. Where what I had to do, something that I'm fortunate, again, when we start talking about the crossover from one world to the other,
Hmm.
one place that I have an advantage over a lot of people is that, I work on a lot of cop shows, and for 4 years I ran Chicago PD,
Hmm.
and so I had access to, um, you know, cops. I had access to technical advisor, like our technical advisor, guy by the name of Luch, is the best in the business. And I can call up Luch and go, "Hey man, how would you do this?" He goes, "No, that would never happen." Or he would say, "Oh, that's cool. Let me tell you how to go even
Okay,
farther."
cool.
And so this is one of my boys, like, you know what I mean? This is my brother. And so when I work on these shows, I've met FBI agents. And then at some point, if they're not doing it, they know someone who is. And even my boy Luch, he would say, "Oh, that's special narcotics division. I'm going to put you in head. I'm going to put you in touch with the head of the
That's
narcotics.
nice.
You could ask them because I'm a little on the fence about this or whatever." And so I would call these people, and so it depends. Like Laws of Solomon, I'm sorry, Laws of Annihilation, the third book, was the book that was probably the farthest from me because it dealt with the Hasidic Jewish community.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the protagonist, the true protagonist was a white female. So that was the one that, so, but I would get together with this wonderful female rabbi out here in LA. And she helped me with that character and helped me with the world and the culture. And she wasn't even from it, she wasn't from the Hasidic community because that's a community unto itself. So that's a hard one to penetrate because and so, but she would just, because here's the thing, you just gotta make sure it's credible. You gotta make sure it's believable. And so it might not be letter perfect. It might not be exactly how they do things. Like when we were on ER, the greatest compliments we got were from real doctors who would say, like, yeah, of course, look, you're doing an hour-long show. That operation would take 6 hours. So of course you can't, but they appreciated the effort. They appreciated the respect. So I find when I approach things, I do enough research, and I sometimes a lot of research, so that the true professionals respect it. And like I saw, even after being on ER and knowing more about certain things in the medical profession, I remember watching another medical show, and they had a doctor running around, and he was had his head piece on, and he's in the high, he's just doing his thing, and then he goes into the OR. And I'm going, that would never happen.
Right.
You don't walk around the hospital and you have to be sterile.
Right.
The fact that they didn't take the time to do that. And I'm not even a professional. I'm a professional playing a professional. And I was pissed. I was like, what? So I've always committed myself that whatever I do, whether it's TV, whether it's a television show, a movie, whatever, I just wanted to feel credible and real. And when I started writing, I wanted to do enough research. I had to do research on devil worshiping or Laws of Wrath. And that one took me through it. That one took me through it. I was like, I was shaking, you know what I mean? Because I was like, this is a world. But here's the thing. No matter what world it is, even if you look at Laws of Annihilation in the world of white supremacists, there's a level, I treat all of my subjects with a level of respect. So I'm a black man writing about vicious white people killing black people, but I'm not going to turn them into caricatures. I'm going to try and find a heart and a reason within them so that it's a debate. But if you just make them stupid and hickish, they're easily dismissible. But like, Laws of Annihilation, there's some smart, do we agree with what no, that's not the point. But I got to give them respect. And and the same thing with the devil worshippers. I had to give them respect. And, and even though I was like, I remember one night I was just kind of like shaking after writing a passage. And then the cool thing was I actually wrote it in the book because I think Quincy asked Fee something and Fee goes, this shit is freaking me out. That was me.
It was real.
I was like, this is real. So, I had to express that because I genuinely, the more research I started doing, I started freaking out. So I just put it in the mouth of one of my characters.
And I think that's why Laws of Wrath, they're all my favorites. I don't know which one is my favorite, but this one is where we really get deep I believe it's number 2, where we really get deep and, it's a black man and white man. They have to work together to get out and overcome a situation, and they hate each other. They're both racist, but they got to work together to kind of get where they need to be.
That's Annihilation.
Book three.
Right. Yeah, that's
Annihilation. That one had my heart like Laws of Annihilation is crazy because I mentally put myself in that room. I put myself in that room like I'm in a corner, like
Right.
what's
That's
about
what
to
you want.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Laws of
so
Annihilation.
then the enemy is within as much as it is without, and so they reach a point where, I mean, you give them extra reasons to hate each other, not just because one is
Ooh,
black and one is white,
right,
but there's some deeper stuff for those that
right.
haven't read the book. I don't want to give things away, but
Yep.
there are deeper reasons, genuine reasons why they hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go, as a point you go, they won't have to kill these two guys. They're going to kill each other. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And so, and you keep that, and so now you got that double tension where you're like, it's never boring because you're like, even when they're just having scenes by themselves, it's still dangerous
So
because they hate
dangerous.
each other so
So
much.
dangerous.
And so,
And you
and that
can feel
becomes
it.
a big part of the theme. So yeah, so each book has its own, and I'm like you, I don't, to a degree, I don't know which one is my. I
What's that
because
called?
Laws of Solomon is so different,
Mm-hmm.
and I've pulled off something that I have been wanting to do for a long time. It's I don't know. It's kind of this one is kind of becoming my favorite because it's
Really?
yeah. It's I mean I
Okay.
but by the way, you're gonna be one of the first. Soon as the book doesn't come out till
September.
September, you'll be getting something probably in the next month. Like as soon as the arcs come out, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So you deserve it. And then you and I then we gotta talk
We
because
do. We
I
do.
don't want to give away. I don't want to give away, but when you see because um I don't know if we're there yet to talk about Laws of
We're
Solomon.
getting into it right
Right.
now. We're getting into it right now. But I will say that you guys can pre-order Laws of Solomon because I will graciously accept my PR box. However, it is already pre-ordered for me. I will be getting it. So you can pre-order right now. I have. So if you actually have time to get caught up, these are reads that you can read in one sitting. They're so good. So you got time to catch up before the next one come out. I'm just saying. So you can
And I
pre-order.
think, and that's that's very important. My website is I am Eriq LaSalle, and of course I spell my name with the Q. So if you go to I am Eriq LaSalle, it has everything. It has
Mhm.
movies, TV shows, all kinds of stuff, and of course the book section, and it tells you how to pre-order. And the pre-order game, and the longer I'm in the industry, I like to kind of study the business side of it. And the pre-order game is so people of color have to understand the full scope of the game because a lot of times the game is won before the first play. The game is won or lost. And what I mean by that is, you start understanding, when we say, oh, we don't get enough representation, we don't get to see a whole lot of um, people of color in this particular field. We don't get this. We don't get. We have to create that. And the way that we create that is by finding people, which is what you do, which I'm so honored and proud of you because
Oh,
you put your money where your mouth is. You back it and you put the word out. And I've just like over the last few years, I've just been like, man, she is just putting the word out. And start off with what's your girl's name?
Kim.
Kim. Yeah. So
Me and Kim.
the
She
two of
probably in
y'all,
here.
yeah, the two of y'all, I was just like, they're doing it because that empowers people. But you got to realize, like, pre-orders determines how excited the publisher gets about it. Is the publisher going to print 500? Are they going to print 5,000? Are they going to print 50,000? Well, the pre-orders start giving the indication that there's an appetite. So for those on here, I selfishly urge it, but I also urge it on behalf of all authors, and particularly authors of color, to empower. You guys don't understand, like that game that helps us win the game before. Like, look, people think, oh, September 8th, the book comes out. That's when it begins. No, it begins way before that. So
Absolutely.
when they start looking at going, oh my God, there's a lot of pre-orders. This book is already has a buzz. This book already has now. They said we got to make sure we print this amount because otherwise, a lot of times these they come and go, and so then all of a sudden you keep seeing the same thing. But
Yeah.
listen, like, until we get to the point where we are the James Pattersons, the S.A. Cosbys. Like, S.A. Cosby is there now. S.A. Cosby, he's a bona fide hit. But a lot of us are still, and I'm talking still, really respected authors. They're still struggling. So I think, your followers and pass it on. These are great, but we as authors, we need that support. And trust me, pre-ordering is a very powerful tool. So I would encourage people to, like I said, go to IamEriqLaSalle.com. You'll see
Absolutely.
all the information, how to pre-order, but that matters, and that helps sets us up, and I'm focusing more on that this go round because this is what I've learned in my journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want to say, I think people want instant gratification. They want to wait till it comes out to get it in their hand. And it's like, let's just do it now. Let's just do it now. It's already coming. It's going to be on your doorstep. Do it now. And that's what I do. All of my faves, I just go ahead and pre-order it because I know how important it is. So,
But I love what we're doing now because there is a level of instant gratification for people because, like you said, even people catching up with the first three books, and even it's a lot of your people because of you, they've read it and whatever. So, but you find ways, but it's a very powerful thing, and I hope people are listening to this, and I hope they start doing it. Like I said, for those that need to get caught up, get caught up. You got three books, and it's only going to make you, want this more. But yeah, it'll be here. It'll be here in no time. But in the meantime, we definitely want the pre-orders. So, like I said, go to because all of my socials are in one place under my my website, IamEriqLaSalle.com. Yeah.
Okay. And I have two questions about the process and your craft, and then we'll finally end it with some questions about Laws of Solomon. So my next question is, how do you know when a book series is complete, but still leaves readers wanting more? Like, how do you know, like, is it going to be over? Can we hope for 10 books? Like, do you have an end goal? I know you said 5 for now, but can we get more possibly?
Well, I think sometimes we overstay our welcome
Okay.
and also this is the thing. I've been blessed. I've never chased the money. I've always chased the art and the craft. And what I mean by that, I've always loved chase my passion. I chased my passion for acting. When I became an actor, I didn't know actors made what they
Yeah.
made. I
Right.
didn't know that at all. You know what? But I fell in love. I fell in love with act in high school. I fell in love with that feeling of acting and what it did to me. Right. Then you get into the business, and yeah, you start learning business.
Money.
And so I say, so here, I'm saying like it's really about chasing the truth of the story. And so for me, I go, I've said what I've had to say.
I like
And
that.
the Martyr Maker series is set up in a very specific way because we're telling each book basically tells a protagonist's point of view.
Right.
We only have but so many
Right.
protagonists.
Okay.
And when you talk about Laws of Solomon, I'll tell you that's a slight departure, but I'll tell you how it'll make a lot of sense. But if you think about it, so book 5 to me is a nice way to end.
Okay.
I'm going to try to now. Sometimes I see authors. They're being offered a lot of money. They just
Right.
keep, and then at some point it loses some of its magic. So no,
Absolutely.
I'm never going to tell you. But see, here's the thing: I'm never going to tell you no. There'll never be another one.
Right.
I'm simply saying this was the once I decided to do this as a series. It was always conceived to be 5 once I got to that point of, okay, I'm going to do this. And so with that in mind, I was like, okay, I want this story to be this person's story, this person's story, this person's story, and here's a surprise. And
Okay.
then we're going to end it on
Okay.
something that everyone's been waiting for.
Okay.
And
That makes
since we know
sense.
the series so well, people keep wondering, when does so and so get
Correct.
this right? They're like, what? You know, and I've been
Right.
teasing it. I've been like,
Right.
and they're like, oh man, oh, you know, and right. And so, but that's the buildup.
Absolutely.
And but even before we get to that, we do another slight departure so that when we end on this thing that everyone has been saying. We need to read about this character. And here's some other good news. I've already written the first book of my next series.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm good.
And it's a Blasian sister. She's half
Okay.
Black, half Korean, and she's the protagonist. And so again, I'll see how many of those,
That's
maybe
fantastic.
5 books. And again, like I said, if I wake up one day and go, oh my God, this would be a great story for Fee and for
Okay.
Quincy, but I just kind of feel each book. I just try to give everything I have in me. I make it a challenge. Like, okay, how are you going to top that? How are you going to come back from that? What are you going? So I'm not like holding back things so that so each time I finish a book, I'm like, okay, like, and
Right.
so seeing it through to to book 5, I feel really, really good
Okay.
about where that's gonna go. I
Absolutely.
really, really good. But and then like I said, and then I got which I'll be giving you a copy probably early next year. But this sister is on
I'm
scene.
ready.
Yeah, yeah. And I try to listen to I'm also only trying to listen to my readers. Like my following is very split. I have a lot of middle-aged white women that love this. I've got my sisters that really show out, especially on TikTok. These, Black women have shown out for this book and shown out for me, and I'm so appreciative. But so I have a diverse following, and then got you get the white males and the brothers, but like the sisters and the white women are like the driving force behind
Locked in.
behind these, and then the brothers come and they're like, oh shit, when did
Right. Yeah.
but you guys, I don't know, there's just something about like what you're doing here. There's just something about like when you get behind something, y'all get behind
Okay.
it.
Absolutely.
Really get behind it. And then sometimes like a brother or men, we can be like, oh wow, this is cool, but we ain't gonna create the way that you guys create. So but I try to write for different things, but I always try to give a little something because I think there's been so much underrepresentation. I do, without excluding anyone, I do always try to add a little extra seasoning for my sisters. I'll always try to give them a little, just a little, because even the women in in the book, like the Black woman, that's a great sister. You know what I mean? And so you always want to give what you don't feel they have, but at the same time, we're not trying to pigeonhole them. I'm not just trying to do a quote unquote Black book because they want to dismiss those. They want to marginalize us. They don't say it's a white book. They don't say it's an Asian book. They say it's a book. But with us, it's a Black book. And I've been, and fortunately, I think I've been very successful in it being seen as more than that. But that's also I'm very conscientious of that.
More than just a Black book and more than just an actor. Oh, he's an actor, so it's gonna be. I mean, it's so much more than that. So
well, even to double down on that, even more than a thriller.
Even more than a thriller.
Because that was the thing. Like one of the best compliments when I really felt I was onto something was when people came up to me and they started saying, I don't even really like thrillers. I found myself liking this because this was with Laws of Depravity. And then there's that's why that love story is in there because I was like, I wanted, and look, some people go, oh, I don't like a love story in the middle of my thing. But people that weren't in the thriller genre, they were like, wow, that was cool. And then they hung around and they were like, oh, I'm in the thriller world. I mean, this isn't my world, but wow. And so that's how and so there's always like that little love story angle in the midst of all this violence and, like you say, more. Give me another body.
Yes, I need that.
I got so many bodies in my pieces. It's just sometimes I'm like, what is the body count?
Right.
What is the body count? And I gotta tell you, in the last book, because I'm working on the book 5 now.
Oh my goodness.
The body, it's just I'm like, okay, right. So
I need that. I need that. Well, let's go ahead and dive into Laws of Solomon. It's your upcoming release, comes out in September. I am super excited about it. Like I said, I've already pre-ordered it, but I will graciously accept that PR. Thank you. Let's talk about it. So, what can readers expect emotionally and thematically from the upcoming installment in the Martyr Maker series? What can we expect from it? What are we going to get from it? What's it all about? Let us know.
Well, it's a slight departure,
Okay.
From the usual. The first 3 books are very procedural, very chase the bad guy. And what I did here in Laws of Wrath, well, if he's introduced, a character is introduced in Laws of Depravity, but he's literally in like 1 page, and they call him the African. African is my version. My favorite film, again, is, as I draw from films, my favorite film is The Godfather. And so there's a character in The Godfather who's the Godfather's right hand man called Luca Brasi. And Luca Brasi is this feared henchman. He does what he has. So I was like, wow, it would be cool to create a Black character who's like Luca Brasi. Introduce him in Laws of Depravity, just one little chapter. He just has a little bit when they go to him they need guns, and so they need him, and he's missing 2 fingers.
Yep.
And that's how you kind of then in Laws of Wrath, he's amped up because he is Fee's father's henchman and right hand man. So when something happens to Fee's father, and so there's a chapter where he and Fee are in the car, and he says to Fee, "What do you think you know about me?" And Fee realizes, even though he's been around this man his entire life, he knows nothing about him. He goes, "Did you know that I was a child soldier? Did you know that I was a mercenary? Did you know that like all these horrible, horrible things happened to him?" And so I just fell in love with that character. I was like, this character is right. And so I was like, this character is so dope. He deserves his own book, even though it's not in the traditional. He's not a cop investigating a crime. So so I started with that whole Luca Brasi getting his own book concept. Then another one of my favorite films is Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. And so Solomon, who is this badass who's just done some horrible, horrible things to people, finally tries to leave the life, but he's pulled back in. And when he's pulled back in, the bodies start climbing, and it's ironically, it is the most lyrical of all the books. It's just really lyrically written, even violent as fuck. I'm sorry. Very violent, but very lyrical and extremely emotional. Of all the books, this is the most emotional because it's about a man who doesn't realize it, but he's on a journey for redemption without knowing it. But he has to go through hell. And whether he gets it or not is a mystery, but it's a really emotional book, because the journey that he goes on, and I don't want to give away too much, but like I said, it's Man on Fire meets Luca Brasi from The Godfather, and so he basically has to try and save a little boy, and what that does to his world is insane, and what he does to the people threatening the sloom
I can
but it's an
imagine.
origin story. It's an origin story. That's another reason when I say it's a slight departure. It's an origin story because we go back to when he was a child, and
Okay.
the very first time he killed was at 7 years old. And so we follow the circumstances, and that is a horrific situation. That chapter is like, and so so you take someone. So the whole theme is this, bro. The theme is this: can the most violent of men become the most peaceful? So at some point, he's just searching, and towards the back end of his life, he's just searching for peace. And just when he thinks he has it, all hell breaks loose.
Oh my goodness.
It's my most emotional book. Like the publisher was just, she's like, when we send this book out, we have to send tissues because it's just, it's
Oh, okay.
emotional, it's violent, it's beautiful. There's great love story in it. And tragedy and humor, but it's so yeah. So in some ways, I'll say this: for me, I think it's becoming my favorite book. I think it's my most mature work.
Okay.
I think I've grown each book out. Like Annihilation to me is more mature. The writing is more mature. Like even technical things. Like I don't always like when I look at laws of depravity. I look at I was using like a lot of double adjectives because I was
Yeah.
really trying to. Then
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of start relaxing. You just pick the one perfect word instead of having two. You pick the one perfect word that paints this thing. So you start getting more and more comfortable through the process. And that's what it's been. And I think Laws of Solomon is that book, and the maturity that it takes to write a book that is as beautiful as it is violent, and have this balance. And like I said, how many people read thrillers and they're boohooing? Like, you know what I mean?
Right, right. Not
Yeah.
I've read plenty, and I probably cried over one. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This one has a few. This one has a few chapters that make you, emotional. People have said, they've gotten so yeah. So I'm really excited about it because, like I said, it's something different. And then the last book will be the book that everyone has been like, when do we see this character do? Because I've been, and now your boy is that, so the fifth book will be, explosive, very, but at the same time, each book, like I said, each book you grow. So even the violence changes in a certain way. The hint at violence, the love, all of this stuff changes because you're maturing, and as an artist, you're growing more and more. And I
Right.
love that process. And I can see, like, when I hit Laws of Annihilation, I think some of the most tense scenes were, like you said earlier, the two men in a room. And so
Ooh,
sometimes it wasn't like the big,
yeah.
crazy action thing. It
Right.
was just put two men in a room that hate each other,
Ooh,
and let that scare the hell out of you.
yeah.
But that took. I couldn't have written. I couldn't have written Laws of Annihilation before I wrote Laws of Depravity and Laws of Wrath. Like I damn sure could not have written Laws of Solomon before those three books. But Laws of Solomon, one thing I'm so proud of. Laws of Solomon is the book I've always wanted to write, not necessarily story wise, but
Right.
tonally, and building, combining all these beautiful, cool things that don't necessarily go together. So when you think of lyricism, you don't necessarily think of, you think of violence, you don't think of lyricism.
Right.
You think of this tenderness
Right.
in this brutal world. You don't feel like, you're crying your eyes out and you're
Mm-hmm. You
reading
know.
a thriller. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
You're just like more.
yeah, yeah. So
Typically.
so yeah, so that's so yeah, so like I said, Pre-order.
Yes, pre-order. And like I said, we're getting down to the end of it, but I feel like Laws of Annihilation left me on a cliffhanger. Each time I saw the African, I'm like, what's up with him? Like, what's going on? Like, what's his story? And we touched on it, and then it was like a cliffhanger. Because again, if you haven't read it, I'm not gonna say like what happened at the end, but I'm just like, okay, so where's the rest of the pages?
Right.
He's one of those characters where he's so mysterious and I want to know more, like open up, tell me what's more. So I'm so excited that we get to dive deep into the African, because I mean, every time he popped up in the other books, I was like, I need more. So that's very exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm really proud. If you want, I don't know what your time is. If you want, I'll read you a little small.
I have time.
You
I
got
have
time?
time. Absolutely, we
You
have
let me know
time.
when we can continue answer your question.
Yep, I just have a couple more questions, and
Okay.
then we have time. If
Okay.
you want to stick around in the coat, we will keep you here, okay?
All right. It's your time. Listen, after all these years, as passionate as you've been and as supportive as you've been, my time is your time, sis. So,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, because, like I said, I'm. This is a full circle moment for me, and it's over 110 people in here. Thank y'all for being in here,
thank you,
listening to
guys.
us and enjoying him, because, like I said, this had to happen because y'all got to know about it. So without spoilers, how does this new release raise the stakes for the characters? Because since you said it's focused on the African, how is it going to raise the stakes for everyone else?
I'm glad you asked that question, because even though it's a departure and it's not the normal thing with everybody else in it, there's one chapter
Mm-hmm.
where he's with Quincy and Fee, and he gives them some information that sets up that other character that we've been waiting for.
Okay.
Now they know, it puts them in a position. He pulls Quincy aside and gives Quincy some info that changes the game. So Quincy now is like, oh, and so now you're like, okay, we know the next book, boom, it's going to go.
Okay.
So it was very, and it's just one chapter, but enough to make you go, oh, and that's how the stakes are raised, because now you're like, all right, this is that we know once we get back into that next book, we know where it's going, and it's going to be a hell of a showdown. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. I don't know. It's just like I'm getting pumped right now. That's what I'm saying. I'm getting excited. I'm getting pumped. These books just make you, and again, I don't know if it's because you're an actor, director, and all the amazing things, but they're literally movies before your eyes. So just hearing you talk about it, I can just see it. Hopefully we have some movies in the future, but I feel like, oh my God, seeing it come to light in front of me would be so fantastic. Like from your POV, watching you do your thing, and oh my gosh, I'm just very excited. So that makes me very happy to hear that. And then I just got one more question, I think. And if you don't mind, I'll take like 2 or 3 from.
Oh, absolutely. This is like
Okay, perfect.
Do you?
Okay, perfect. What excites you most about sharing this upcoming release with readers? Is it because it's extremely different, or is it just because it's another installment? Like, what makes you the most excited?
Because like I said, it's extremely different.
Okay.
But it fits. It's in its universe, so it's not like all of a sudden it's a musical. I mean, it's a dark, gritty, violent thriller that goes with some great characters. But the thing, like I've been saying, the thing is, there's just so much lyricism, and it's a good read. Like they're just passages that you just listen to, and just listen to the words, and it paints, and it's vivid. It's a very vivid book. I mean, most of my books are vivid, as you know,
Absolutely.
but this is a different type of visuals, and so I'm really excited about that. I'm excited that it was a challenge to do a departure book, but raise the stakes for the entire series. So it's not like, oh, we're going to just do something. No, it's still connected.
Right.
It's still connected, and it sets up the next book even more. But at the same time, we've done something different, and I love it being different. But like, this really, it's an origin story, so we go back.
Feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But,
I'm
because
with that.
you're talking about, because like you say, he's such a enigmatic character. He's so mysterious, but he's the most haunted person. He's the most haunted character, one of the most haunted characters I've ever read. And now, but we get to we now, like, even the book opens up, and I'll share some, the book opens up, and this guy's in a constant state of being haunted because he's done so many horrible things, horrible, and whether he was forced to, but
Right.
he's a man who just battles. He just has demons. He's just battling his demons. So to
Mm,
take that kind of character
yes.
and make people root for him,
Mm,
make people, you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
just like, I mean, it's like, remember Silence of the Lambs, and we just had, like, Hannibal Lecter. He
Yeah.
said, "I'm having a friend for dinner."
Right.
And the audience was like, they're
Yeah.
applying for a cannibal. You're like,
Right.
what? Anthony Hopkins killed it, right? But he was like, but my point is, when you fall in love with these characters that you're uncomfortable falling in love with, and as a matter of fact, when Laws of Depravity came out, people were hitting me going, I know this sounds messed up, but I really dig the Degler character. I'm really rooting for the Degler. They were rooting for the bad.
Crazy. Right.
Right. And they were like, "Does that make me weird?" And I'm like, "Look, it's
So
a
they're
good character."
right.
But this character, like I said, because he's so haunted,
Mm,
it's a journey. It really is out of it's such a personal journey, but it's a big personal journey. And
absolutely.
yeah, so yeah, really, 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 really excited, as you can tell. Really excited about
And now you got me excited. I'm pumped. I need the book now. If you guys have some questions before he reads from Laws of Solomon, if there are any questions that you guys want to know, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat, and I will definitely pick a couple to ask. Again, thank y'all so much for being here. Who's ever number 1 and 2 at the top of this live, they will be winning a set. One from Eriq and one from me. You'll get the first 3 books. We want to show love. Y'all know I love giving back. That's one thing I can do. I've probably sent the first book to over 100 people. I'm not lying. But as you guys are typing your questions, just make sure you guys can go over to the website. What's the website again?
I am EriqLaSalle.com, and that's ERIQ. Yeah, Eriq
Head over
LaSalle.
there, check it out, pre-order. It's a lot of good information. Again, you have a lot of time to catch up on the first 3 books and get ready for book 4. So let me see if I can catch any of the comments. They're coming fast. Again, thank y'all for being here. Rika says, Natasha says, where did you get the ideas for the covers?
The publisher sends over ideas. When I self-published, I leaned into the darkness, and my covers were a little more obvious. And so when the publisher came in, they just started doing things a little more subtle and with more of a hint. And because Laws of Solomon crosses, it's not just a thriller, it's also for literary fans. Like, this book is sort of the biggest crossover potential, because you can just read it as an odyssey, like a character starts here and they go through all of this to get to here. And so you can read that from a thriller point of view, or you can read that if you just love, poetic writing and lyrical writing and cool characterization. So that cover is really, like you see, it's like soft and purple, and it just, all it has is palm trees, because that's the other thing. It differs because Solomon moves to California. So
Yeah.
it's my first book that's in California, because the first 3 books all take place in New York.
Yep.
The 5th book will as well. But
Okay.
this book is, it's in New York, but it's also in California. So it was real simple. So yeah, so love the titles, because it gives a little hint of things, but also there's a little mystery about them, and it's for the reader to kind of fill in. And when you finally get through the journey, you really like, okay, I get it. Yeah.
Perfect. Kippy says, does he feel like he would cast himself for the character in his book?
No, no, no.
Or would you?
No, I wouldn't. What I would do is this. One, something that's important to me with this whole journey that I'm on as a writer is, part of my legacy can be like, obviously, we want to turn this into film or turn this into a streaming thing. There aren't many, I don't know any, I'm not saying that there aren't any, but if there are, I don't know them. But we haven't had someone that's been an actor, a director, a producer, and an author on a project. And
Mm,
there are, it's such a small group that I want to be in that. And I guess I can't think of any, so I don't know if there are any. But my point is, so I would cast myself in a small role just to
mm.
be able to say,
Little Easter egg.
I did all four. I did all four things that no one else has done, or very few have done. I don't know, which.
Okay.
But no, I would not. I would not. The thing is, when you think of Quincy and Fee, that's always for me been like Idris Elba and Ryan Gosling, like
Mm-hmm.
that combo. Yeah, and
That's fire.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
Charlize Theron for Janet Macklin. So those are the kind of star power, and then for Solomon, I think it's Jaimin Hansu, who's a friend, and this is so funny because I actually wrote this book for him. Like he was like from the first word, he was etched in my mind as to who
Mm,
it would be, So yeah.
okay. Rabia said, "Do Audible pre-orders count, or can they pre-order
Yes.
Audible?"
Yes, and I'm because we're a little ahead of schedule. I don't think the Audible thing, because we just signed that contract, because those are separate contracts. We just signed the contract, so I don't know that you can pre-order on Audible just yet. But
Okay.
it is. I mean, literally before I jumped on, my agent like texted me, said, "Audible's coming." Like, tell them it's coming, but it's not
Perfect.
there. But you can do the other pre-orders. But thank you. So, but yes, you will be able to pre-order it on Audible. I think within the next month. So just look for it, because like I said, we literally just did the contract, and but that's a good question.
And y'all know I'm gonna tell y'all about it. And if you're in my private
Right.
Discord, I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna do a whole video about it. So y'all don't have to worry about it. But if you do, head over to the website, then you can kind of keep checking that back if you can't get in touch with me. But I will be letting you know. I will be letting you know. Let me grab two more questions, and then I would love to hear you read a little bit. Um, let's see. Two more questions. Somebody said New York stand up. I'm pumped. Somebody said, "Can you put Danny as a character in your next book?" Why, thank you.
So that leads me to something. We are going to, particularly with the last book, we are going to start running even contests where when people win, we'll have a character named after them.
Oh,
So
well,
that will be for, as I'm writing book five. That will be something, because I mean, I do that. I love that. I love,
that's
what I
cool.
mean? And so don't be surprised if a Danny does pop up, or somebody, so yeah.
Yeah, that y'all know, help me win. And that was Kayla. And the last question I'm gonna ask is, Hijabi Book Lover said, "Is there any other genre you would like to write in? Who are some of your favorite authors?"
um yeah, I mean, I have a family drama, which is loosely based on my mother, and that's just a good old fashioned,
Messy.
messy,
Yep.
beautiful, life affirming relationship thing. So yeah, favorite authors. Obviously I read a lot of thrillers. Don Winslow, John Sanford. I ironically, Ayn Rand. The Fountainhead is one of my favorite books, which I
Ooh.
reread, and it's one of those. you know, 2,000-page books. And you're like,
Oh,
um, so, but that gives you just all kinds of different, different looks. I just got turned on to a sister, Rachel Houzel Hall,
oh yeah.
yeah, Rachel is, she and I met at a book conference, and I read her book. I'm excited. She has a new book coming out, which you can also pre-order, and that one is actually ready. And she and I are going to be doing an event in 2 weeks. So a little bit of I read for different reasons. Obviously, when I'm writing, I tend to read more thrillers. Um, Don Winslow is, but I mean Dennis Lehane, Toni Morrison. I mean, the
Right.
usual suspects. They're
Hmm.
they're 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 applauded for a reason.
Right.
But my truth be told, my go to diehards are going to be the John Sanfords, the Don Winslows. They just kind of help me, get into it. I just finished my first Frida McFadden book,
Okay.
for I read,
Was it the housemaid?
what's that? It was The
Oh.
Housemaid. Yeah. So I read that about a month ago. I just kind of wanted to, was it Kennedy Ryan? I like to,
Absolutely.
because I have to understand. I have to understand what people are responding to. I have to understand what particularly my audience, what white women, because that's a big part of my audience. What black women, what are they really? So like Kennedy Ryan, like what are they reading? Rita McFadden, and there've been some I didn't like.
Right.
There's one very famous white female author who is huge. And I was like, I can't get through this. I mean, this is like, so,
Yes.
I gave it a shot. But yeah, but those are my staple reads. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. And if there are no more questions, we would love to hear a little bit of Laws of Solomon. I would love that if y'all are
Okay.
ready.
This is
If
just going
y'all
to
are
be
ready, drop his sticker. If y'all are ready, drop his sticker in the comments for me.
and this is just a really brief thing. Um, but it'll just kind of give you just a little feel. So just bear with me.
Absolutely.
As he did most nights, he waited for the ghosts to come. They came without fail, by song and tribal chants. The deep timbre of their voices lulled him to sleep. Solomon Ngobi dreamed he died. It was in death that he'd finally found a good life, a simple life, monastic even, a new life of penitence and absolution. The war with the divine had ended in a stalemate. Ultimately, he found salvation neither in God nor deity, but in the land. It was the land that saved him, moored him. The land was both his death and resurrection. He started his mornings on his knees, inhaling deeply and smelling the dark earth. He sifted dew-damp clumps of soil through hands that were the color of coal. This was his pre-dawn ritual, smelling the earth, touching it, listening to it. The flowers, trees, and shrubbery connected him to a life that was worth living. His father was a farmer, as was his father before him, and so on. His veins flowed with the blood of 7 generations of landmen. Had the soldiers not come all those years ago, he would have undoubtedly been the 8th generation of proud Nangobi farmers. As he
Mm.
toiled in the mud, he felt the weight of eyes on him, the curious scrutiny of an unannounced guest. Glancing over his shoulder, he noticed a small boy who was no more than 8 years old watching his every move. The child, like most children, made Solomon uncomfortable. He regarded them as no more than the harbingers of unwanted memories. Of all the ghosts that came to torment him, and there were many, it was always the small ones that he found the most terrorizing.
Uh-uh. What you doing? Keep going. Hold on, keep going. No, that's amazing. I can't wait. Everybody in the chat is like blown away. I don't know if you can see the chat, but that, oh my goodness, I am ready to dive into that book. I cannot wait till it's
You'll get
released.
it. You'll get it. You'll get it. And one thing I want to say
Of course.
to you and to your followers, um, guys, it is so important to have the kind of support that Danny shows. Danny shows up for her author. She loves books, and so to be this author that she has clamped onto is incredible, and we obviously we should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
And I know you were a little nervous. I'm going, I don't know why. So
It's like, yeah.
um, but it's appreciated, it's respected, and I say to the rest of your followers, you too you can empower authors. You can empower just by being champions, by being their champions, by being their cheerleaders, by being their supporters. And listen, I go in hard because I don't take that for granted. So I want to bring you excellence. I want you to, when you put your word on something, and you've put your word and your name on this thing so many times, I want you to be like, see, I told you, right? But I gotta back it
Yeah.
up. And so that's important. But I really wanted to say thank you. And I'm happy you did this. And like I said, we could have done it sooner, because I'm a fan of yours and what you do. And I
Thank
know that you're
you.
tough as you hype up other things, and when you do your thing, but I'm like, this woman is a true fan of books, and so I encourage people, like, you. Sometimes you never know the power you have, and you never know who's watching you. But I've been watching you, and I've been, like I said, really appreciative of being able to do this. So thank you, sis, and you have a fan, and you'll be getting some free some stuff before everybody else. And so but yeah, but I just, like I said, just wanted to thank you, and thank everybody that jumped on here. This is awesome. This is seriously, this is really awesome. And
Yeah.
we'll come back after Solomon is released. We'll come back probably in September, and then we can do like a thing just for that. And
Yes, that'd be dope. That'd
yeah,
be dope.
yeah,
Like I said, it's still well over 100 people in here, so we want to hear what you have to say. We're invested. I'm invested. Like you said, I literally love this series. I found it again at a time where I needed it, and once I read it, I was addicted. It changed me, and that's why I send it to so many people, because I need it to change them. I know it will. And yeah, you have a forever fan with me, and you already know I'm definitely gonna always, always, always shout out your books because I love them. So I appreciate you for taking time to even come on. Like I said, my little tiny corner of the internet. I appreciate you, and I think we're all pumped now. For you all who didn't know about the books, or who just didn't know he was an author, I hope this sheds some light on not only his books, but him as a person, his perseverance, his dedication, and hopefully you'll think about picking up at least book one and giving it a go, because I know once you read it, you're going to be addicted like me. So, again,
and
thank you.
then you're gonna go to IamEriqLaSalle.com and pre-order, and and like I said, it really works. It really empowers both of us. It empowers you, because you start creating the type of authors that you want to read by showing they have presence, and that they have validity, and that they have, that there's a need for them, and the publishers pay attention to that, and so they start going, oh wow, these people. So it's a groundswell, and
Please, y'all.
I'm going to be doing more of these. And it's funny, because you empowered another sister, because the minute you announced that I was doing this other sister jumped on. She was like, I need you to come on my podcast. And I was like, okay. And then I
That's
and
fabulous.
she sent me something, and I saw her review. She had reviewed Annihilation like a year ago,
Hmm.
and it was deep. And I'm going like, why didn't you reach out? So everybody's like all nervous. I'm like, no, I love talking to fans and stuff like that. So
Seriously.
you empowered her because I'm serious. The minute you announced it, we got a request to do her thing. So I think she was like, oh, well, if he's doing that, maybe he'll do mine. And then, like I said, when I started looking on it, she was like, oh, going on and on. I'm like, why didn't you reach out? That was a year ago. So anyway, so it's
Slide this y'all sign to slide in those DMs. Slide in those DMs and just let the people that you know that you enjoy, let them know, because 9 times out of 10 they're gonna be receptive. I saw that and I was like, that's what's up. TikTok is so powerful. You have no idea. TikTok is so powerful, and I've met so many people and been able to share this book with so many people on TikTok alone. And I know you see me on Instagram all the time, but yes, I saw that and I was like, okay,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is gonna get you. This is it, and I'm very excited. And yeah, like I said,
I'm gonna be doing them. I mean, so I think I already committed to her. I think she's in 2 weeks.
yes,
And you guys have, I mean, like I said, the black girl love that I get on TikTok is real, and it's really,
absolutely.
like fun. I'm like, okay, so it's just, it's just cool. And I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Let's discuss this. Let's get this
Yeah,
stuff out because this, like I said, this is for me personally and selfishly. This one has the most potential to push it over to that crossover, whatever you want to call it. But it's this one
absolutely.
it's got the momentum. It's got the publisher is just passionate about it. So I'm going hard on this one, and harder
Absolutely.
than I've gone. But all of this helps offering a platform, and people get to see, oh, this person is accessible. Like
Right.
but people have this
Right.
preconception, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And you go, yeah, no,
You
I'm passionate
cool.
about the same things you're
Yeah.
passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, keep it real. So yeah, so thank you. Thank you so
No,
much.
thank you, thank you, thank you. And again, we do have some winners. So, Rabia, you have won a copy of these, and I will get all the information over to the appropriate person. And then also, I want to say, Cam, you have also won this from me. So I will be sending you a copy, Cam, and then I will be giving your information over, Rabia, to Eriq's team so that you can get your copies. Again, thank y'all so much for joining me. Thank y'all for being here and being active and asking questions and engaging. The last thing was someone said, is there anywhere I can get a signed copy?
We're going to, this is why it's really important to do. So I have a newsletter that's attached to the website.
Mhm.
Go on that, join. And that's the other thing I really want to encourage people. Join, because when an author has a newsletter, you guys have a different type of access. It's like this thing kind of continues. So people are like, hey, you never know. You write in the newsletter, I might go, well, I'm going to be in that part of town, or I'm going to be there for a
Mhm.
signing. I'm going to be here. So, but you get to have more dialogue. So I encourage everyone on here, when you go to the website, join the newsletter, because that's the other thing. We want that to grow. But the cool thing is, people that sign up for that, and it doesn't cost anything, but people that sign up for that, they get things way before. Like, I got a dope ass video that is sort of like a mini movie of what I just read, but my nephew did it with like images.
Mm-hmm.
It was dope. And so these, you guys get to see stuff that no one is. You get to see it before, because obviously, we're going to share it
Right.
eventually. But the first stop is for, like no one has heard me read this. This is the first time I've read this to someone. You know what I
Ooh,
mean? And so
absolutely.
that's the kind of access that we offer, and that we want, is that, like, you join the website, and again, it doesn't cost anything. It's literally just like clicking on and seeing, but you get updates, and so then we start going, oh, you know what, let's try to figure out a way to get you a signed copy. Or, like I said, it might be a situation of, you live somewhere where I'm going to be, where I know somebody. And I have been, obviously I can't do a ton of it, but I've just slipped. I've sometimes, people have sent me their book, and to a PO box, and then I'll sign it, I'll send it, but we figure it
Mm-hmm.
out. But this is how the best way to do that, like I said, is, go to the website, join the newsletter, and then you can, we start corresponding and I can find out. So to answer your question, yeah, yes, there's a way. We'll figure it out. But just like I said, spread the word, come to the website, come to the
Absolutely.
newsletter, right, sign the newsletter, and you start getting things that before everybody else gets them. So that's a cool
Perfect.
question. Good
And
question.
then after I get off live, guys, I will go into my private Discord and I'll drop all the information. I'll drop the website, so it's just a click away. Again, sign up for the newsletter and pre-order. So thank you so much again, Eriq. I will not hold you up any longer. This was fantastic. Again, I cannot wait for the release, and we must do this again after the release. And let's just vibe. You were fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciated it.
Tell Kim I said hey.
And
y'all came hard as a team. Y'all were
we
like,
did. And I'm surprised she's not in here. She's in California too, so I think she's at work. But this does get recorded, and I am gonna go put it on my YouTube channel so that if you missed it, you can go watch it. Because I know a lot of people are still at work. Y'all will be able to go watch it. It'll probably be uploaded tomorrow or maybe Saturday. You can go watch it, and in the description, I'll link everything so that it's easily accessible for y'all to get. Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell Kim right now. All right.
Take care.
Thank you, Eriq. Bye.